So the home education community has been dealt a massive blow. The Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill Home Ed section has now been finalised pretty much. And we're screwed. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Home educators are screwed now. The new rules are going to be really invasive and cause real harm to children. So I'm going to roughly, just really quickly talk you through the main points within the actual bill. So bearing in mind this is for England and possibly Wales. Wales still have a chance of stopping things. But in England, the bill, there's no way, barring war, an election or an actual miracle, the bill is now going to be law. It's going to take a while for it to actually become actionable in law. That there's processes, and I'll not go through all that. So the rough changes: a mandatory register, and if you do not go on the register, you can be fined or even go to prison, lose your right to home educate. You know that there's no screwing about with it. You've got to go on the register. Local authorities are going to not accept a no. That's going to need both parents' details. There is no provision in it that talks about safeguarding if there's an absent parent. We just don't know what those rules will be. That will probably come in secondary legislation. Hopefully something that makes sense, that you don't have to include absent parents' information. Children's protected characteristics such as their race, religion, even their gender, which it's none of the local authorities' business, but it's the kind of thing that they're going to demand. They're going to want to know an estimated time that each parent is involved in the education. This is a little bit less worse, sorry, that's not the correct terminology, than the original bill, which wanted exact hours. So this is a lot better, an estimated time. It's also going to want to know the details of anybody else providing education over a specified period of time. That specific period of time hasn't yet been, divulged. So we're hoping it's not going to include things like scouts and dancing or a couple of hours a week with a tutor. We're hoping it's going to be more towards, 20 hours a week or something like that, but we just don't know. So they're going to want to know how many hours is being spent with other educators, and especially if that is unsupervised by you, if you're not there and if you're not aware of what's happening. It also clearly states that the local authorities can include anything else that they decide appropriate. Literally, there is no limit to what they can demand from you. And remember that the register part is not about the suitability of the education. That is a separate inquiry, and I'll talk about that shortly. So yeah, it's going to want to know who else is involved in the education. Within 15 days of going on the register, so as soon as this is actionable in law, the local authority within 15 days must, there is no can or might do, it's a must, consider where the child lives. And as part of that consideration, they can ask for a visit. We all know what those bad local authorities are going to do with that rule. They're going to try and get in your house and to see the child. The better local authorities will not be demanding these things, because where the child lives really has no bearing on home education. It's just none of their business. But that's now, the local authority must, within 15 days, consider where the child lives. A refusal to allow that could allow the local authority to escalate their concern to a concern. Consent to deregister. So currently, if you're in special school, you need to get the local authority to okay it. This is now going to include wanting to remove your child from any setting, mainstream, as well, if they have a current social services investigation happening or had child protection plan or similar in the last 5 years. So that's going to affect kids that are adopted, all sorts of kids that if school was the safeguarding concern, it doesn't matter what the reasons were, they don't care. All kids that have had social services in the last 5 years will need consent to deregister. And this means that the child must stay on the school roll, must be still attending until this consent is given, regardless of why you're needing to pull them out or wanting to pull them out. And the really concerning bit is if the local authorities say no, they don't have to reconsider it for another 6 months. So I just can't get my head around it. It's just shocking. And I look so rough because I've been up all night thinking this through and how best to explain it. And there is no best, it's shit. So the parent's not really going to hold the primary duty to decide what's right for the child. And that is something that is a theme throughout the bill. The local authority is going to be able to decide what is in the best interests of your child. Your child, not theirs, your child. And best interests is mentioned a few times, but it doesn't really even give any parameters to that. And it can mean that the local authority can say no to home educating if it's not in the child's best interest. And we know local authorities think kids should be in school. So the worst local authorities are really going to use this against families. 30% of English local authorities and 30% of the Welsh local authorities, if Wales vote on the 17th to accept the bill. Excuse me, fingers crossed they won't. 30% of local authorities will take part, or up to 30% will take part in a pilot scheme. And this will require a compulsory home visit, a compulsory meeting with the family and the child, unless there's exceptional circumstances in which, the child doesn't have to attend. The school must attend if the parent consents. We expect the bad local authorities will try saying, well, if you're not inviting school, then there's something wrong. They might use it against you. But we also think that the bad schools will try to worm out of these meetings because they know you're going to go in there and complain about what the school have done. The purpose of the meeting is allegedly to make sure that you understand what your duty is as a home educator, what the local authority's duty is, why you want to home educate. And we know that the local authorities lie already. We know that they misuse guidance and law to get what they want. And we know that the bad local authorities are going to use this as an opportunity to scare the crap out of you, to encourage you to keep your kid in school, or they're going to try saying that you've got to create school at home. We don't know what they're going to do. The good local authorities will use this as a learning opportunity to help schools improve or whatever, but those good local authorities are few and far between now. The pilot also includes that the meeting can include anything else the local authority deems relevant. They're giving them free rein. These and anything else statements are just dangerous. So bloody dangerous. And the child must carry on attending the school until the local authority informs the school that the meetings took place. There's no time scale. It could take days, weeks, months. A local authority that doesn't have an officer available. Your child's just sat there in limbo having to attend a school that could be the reason you're wanting to deregister. All that fighting we've done for all these years, it's just gone. Okay. It's been a long night. Okay, so the school attendance process is going to change slightly. There will be a preliminary notice. So this is similar to a section 4371 that's done now. However, this preliminary notice can be served if social services become involved, or the education is deemed unsuitable, or the local authority deem it in the child's best interest to attend school. And they can serve it if you refuse to go on the register or refuse to respond to enquiries. You've got the opportunity to reply, and satisfy whatever their concerns are. How this process is going to work exactly will be down to Home Ed guidance. At this stage, they can consider where the child lives again, and they can ask for a visit. And it says refusing a visit could be used as a concern. We're fuming. We're just, yeah. So at the minute, if you get served a school attendance order because the local authority being an arse, and I've given up the polite words now, I'm done with it. So if they're being a dick and they serve a school attendance order for no reason, and you can look at the research, we've got plenty that proves that local authorities do this just to force coercion. You can go to court and you can talk to a judge and say, look, the education is suitable. There are no concerns. And the court can go, okay, yeah, we're happy. Or they can go, well, actually, no, that you failed to abide by the school attendance order. Here's a fine. The new rules will be a heavier fine with the possibility of prison. Prison will be way down the line and probably repeat offenders and that kind of thing. But the heavier fine in itself is going to be a deterrent for those families who are in the bad local authority areas. And currently, you can move local authority area and start afresh, for want of a better word. But now the bill is going to link all the local authorities together. These registers, the information will be passed from one to another. Heavier searches can already take place to find you through the new CME guidance that came out a while ago. There's a couple of bits in the bill as well. The support, but there's no meaningful support. It gives a few suggestions, but it leaves it down to the local authority of what they deem appropriate. A local authority with no funding and staff that really don't care about home editors and want the kids in school are going to say no, and that's okay in this bill. They don't have to provide support. Most don't now. There'll be a forum twice a year offered for home editors to discuss the things in the bill, so the register, the SAO process, the visit. But there's no real details on, is this going to be a local authority person at the forum where you can talk to them and tell them what the problems are? Or are they going to use these forums to try and ply information from you about the education? We don't know. So the actual enquiries about the education is separate to all of this. And that's going to be down to what's written in the EHE guidance, which we imagine a consultation will come out in probably a couple of weeks after the bill gets royal assent. So make sure you've signed up to the Educational Freedom newsletter so that as soon as that consultation is out, you find out about it, and you can then reply to it and tell the government exactly that you're not happy with the proposals in the guidance. We are dreading that they're going to include things like mandatory testing, more home visits, forcing the child to perform, be quizzed, and the bill's bad. I think the guidance could be worse, but we're not fully giving up the fight on that one. So yeah, anybody that's saying, well, the good parents have got nothing to worry about, you've not lived this. I realised today I've been doing this for a third of my life, supporting you guys. And we've seen the bad. We've seen the really bad. And nobody's going to be safe from the crap this bill is going to allow those really bad local authorities to do. Anyway, right. I'm going to leave it there. It's scary. And it's going to happen now. There's no fighting this now. Like I said, barring a miracle. If you want to know more about it, do pop a question in the comments. Make sure you sign up to the newsletter. We're going to be sending out the written information that supports what I've just been saying, plus a copy of the bill with our annotations on it. And we're going to keep supporting you. We're going to keep fighting your corner. And when the laws change, we will continue. Albeit we are going to need more staff, so if more volunteers. So if you've got any time to spare, please do try and get in touch with us and give up some of your time, so that as soon as this bill comes into play, we're ready to support families with those really bad local authorities. Yeah, sorry it wasn't better news, folks.